Welcome to part 9. In this we'll see two comments, trim and extend. Trim is for removing a part of an object or an entity which you have drawn. For example, in this figure you can see there is a rectangle here and there is a line in here, and if I don't want this portion of the rectangle, that is the portion on the left hand side of this rectangle, is to be removed. For this we can use this trim option, and trim is one of the command which is very widely used in AutoCAD for drawing various things, preparing various drawings. You can trim a portion of the circle so that you will get the required arc, or you can trim a portion of a line if it extends to certain things. For example, I have a line like this and I have another line like this, and I don't want this portion of the line, that is the portion of the bigger line on the right hand side, or on the portion of the small line on this end. I mean, all these things, like it has got difference, or it is different from erase. Where in erase we are deleting the entire object, whereas in the case of trim we are only removing a portion of an object. So here, apart from object, we need a boundary edge, or we normally call this as a cutting edge. I'll come back to the first example what I mentioned. So I want this rectangle to be trimmed, one portion of this rectangle to be trimmed, that is I don't want the left hand side portion of this rectangle, right? For that one you can use this trim command. So here I'm clicking here for trim command, or like you can type trim, or you can simply type tr, which basically will give the trim command. So once you start a trim command, AutoCAD will prompt you to select objects, and if you see the command line, you can see that select cutting edges. So first what AutoCAD wants is AutoCAD wants the cutting edges. So here my cutting edge will be this line, because I want to cut this or trim this rectangle with respect to this line. Okay, so I'm selecting this line as my cutting edge. To complete my selection, as usual, press enter. Now AutoCAD will ask us to select edge, select the object which we need to trim, and here you should keep one thing in mind, or one very important thing, like we need to select the object from the side which we need to trim. See, for this line actually has got this splits into two planes, like the left hand side and right hand side. See, as we want to remove this left hand side, I need to select this object from this side. See, if you select from this side will be trimmed. As I don't want this one, so I can trim that one. And once you complete that one, you can press enter. So this particular portion is trimmed off. And the cutting edge need not be a single line, it can be multiple objects. It can be line up, or whatever it may be. For example, like I don't want the upper portion of this line like this. After this, whatever portion is extending after this rectangle, I don't want this one, I just want to trim off this one. Similarly here, I don't want this portion and this portion, that means wherever this intersection is happening, like I don't want this end and this end. So in these cases, my cutting edges will be, one will be this, for as far as this line is concerned, then this as far as this line is concerned, and this line as far as this line is concerned. So the same object which we want to trim can also be a cutting edge also. So I'm starting the trim command. So I'm selecting one cutting edge, second cutting edge, third cutting edge, and then press enter. Then I can remove whatever I don't want. This one, sorry, this one, this one. Okay. So all those things are trimmed. Similarly, see, I'll show you here. See, in this circle, I don't want this particular portion. So the cutting edge will be this one and this one. These two lines will be my cutting edge. Then I have to select this circle from here. See, if I make this and this as cutting edge, and if I select the cutting object, that is this circle from here, this portion will be trimmed off. Right? It will be shown. Okay. I'm selecting this trim option here. Then selecting the first cutting edge, second cutting edge, enter. See, when I'm bringing my cursor to this position, you can see this portion is to be trimmed off. When you see this, you can see this portion will be trimmed off. When you see this portion will be trimmed off. So we have different options, or we can select the portion of the object which we don't want to, or which we want to trim, in fact. Okay, so that is about trim. And also if you select the objects previously, like before giving the trim command, if you select a few objects, those objects which you have selected will be taken as cutting edges, and then AutoCAD will prompt you to select the object which you want to trim. Right? Okay, now you can see these two has already been selected as the cutting edge. Now I can move this around here and make whatever trim I want. Similarly, if you take trim, there is an option like select all. So this is this option is here. So if you want to select all the objects in your drawing as your cutting edge, then you can simply press enter, so that all the edges will be taken as cutting edge. Now you can see all the entities here are taken as cutting edge. So when you move your mouse over a particular object, you will it will show which area will be actually trimmed off. So this is the basic thing about trim. And if you see trim, you can see a couple of other options also, which we'll discuss. I have a circle here. Okay, see, trim, I'm selecting this as my cutting edge, then press enter. Now here we'll not be discussing all these options, because this fencing and crossing are related to selection. Then project is related to 3D space. So these things we may discuss in that later things, or you will understand it later when we cover other portions. Okay, now I'll talk about these two options. This is edge and erase. See, if you want to erase an object, then, or if you want to trim the entire object, it may not be possible with the trim command. I'll explain it once again. Like I'll draw a circle here. Okay, then I'm drawing one line here and drawing another line here. Right. Maybe this will not do. I'll do one thing. I'll do these things. I'll do things, and I will trim some portions initially. Trim. Okay, select cutting edge. Okay, enter. I'm trimming this portion and this portion. Okay. Now, what I have done is like now I'm starting a trim command. Then I did select this and this as my cutting edge. Then I want to trim this arc here. You will not be able to trim this arc, because if you trimming this means it is completely erasing that particular object. So that cannot be done by default settings of trim. And if you want to delete the erase this one or delete this one or trim this one, then basically you have to use this erase option. So if you use the erase option, then if you go and click here, right now that portion will be erased or trimmed. So trim cannot be used for erasing an object, that is completely removing an object, unless you check that or use that erase option. So that is about the erase option. And also see in certain cases, like I'll draw a circles here. Now see that this line is not coming and intersecting this particular circle, but if you extend this line, this will come and intersect this circle, and it will have two sides, like left hand side and right hand side. Suppose if you want to remove the right hand side of this circle, from where this line comes and intersect this circle, by the default settings you will not be able to do that one. I'll show that. I'm taking the trim command, I'm taking this as my cutting edge, then I press enter. Then if I select this particular portion, the side of the circle, you can see a small mark there mentioning that the cutting edge does not intersect with the, or it does not intersect with the cutting edge, or the cutting edge is not coming and intersecting with this particular circle, so that it is not possible to trim that one. But what if I want to extend this line to here, or like imagine like I mean like I just want to consider that, I mean I have extended it to this particular things, and then I want to remove that. For that one you can use this edge mode. So if you click this edge, you have two options here, extend and no extend, in which this no extend will be the one which will be the default option. The current option will be no extend. So if you want to have the extend option, then you can click here, so it will be extend option. Now if you come and see your keep your mouse here, you can see that this portion can be trimmed, because AutoCAD will consider this line as extended, so that it will be meeting this circle, and correspondingly the portion will be trimmed off. The same example I can show here. See, this line is not coming and intersecting this circle. So now if I use the trim command, and if I take this as my extend these things, now if I come here, you can see it can be removed, because we made this extend, that is the edge option. In the edge option we have made it this two extension, that is implied edge extension. We are implying that the edge is extended, and it will be reaching like it will be coming and intersecting this one. So this is one of the like important options as far as trim is concerned. And if you are selecting all as cutting edge, then basically it will be better not to keep this extend option. You keep it to non-extend option, and whenever you require, you just use that extend option. So that is about trim command. See, exactly opposite to trim command, we have something called extend, which also comes here. Just beneath the trim you can see extend. This is just opposite to trim. Suppose if I have a line like this, I want to extend this line to meet to this circle on both the sides, then, or even on one side you can use that. So I'll just show that the command is extended. In fact, okay, I already typed it here, extend. So for extending in the same manner, instead of cutting edges, here we need the boundary edges up to what we need to extend the line. So I'm selecting the extend command here, extend, then it will ask for the boundary edges. So initially we need to select the boundary edges, and press enter, then select the object which we need to extend. Suppose if I come and select this edge, it will be extended to here. If I come and select this edge, it will be extended to there. And you can see the options somewhat similar to what you have seen in the case of trim, although we don't have any erase option here, but instead of that we have an undo option here. And you can see the same edge option here, that is extend or no extend, which will help us to have an implied extension of both the things. So for example, I'll show you something like this. Okay. Now by default option, if I extend this, and extend this, both will not be extended. If I take this as boundary edge for this one and this as boundary edge for this one, this will not be extended. I will show that. Extend, I'm selecting these two as my boundary edges, press enter. So when I come here, you cannot see that it is not extending, but I'm changing this edge mode to extend. Then when I come here, you can see that is extended, right? So I'm getting a corner like this. So this is about trim and extend. These are the two comments which we will be using extensively when we are preparing different drawings in AutoCAD. So that concludes this particular part. Okay, thank you.